Why our journey in EXO so awesome? Let's do this. Hi, I'm Dr. Mark, and I'm going to help you sing and perform more like the top artists around the world. I'm a professional voice teacher, performance coach, and opera stage director. I've helped thousands of singers around the world learn the techniques and methods that got the top singers to where they are. Today we're going to talk about what makes them both awesome, but also comparing and contrasting how they do the song and what makes it different, what makes it unique, but also the techniques and things that they do that are similar. So we want to explore what makes both these groups so awesome and what makes us love them so much. As we're going through, we'll skip back and forth between the original Journey song and EXO's version, flipping back and forth. If you want to see the entire thing, look down below. You'll see the link to both original videos where you can watch the entire video of either one. Hope you enjoy it.
Lying beside you, here in the dark, feeling your heartbeat in mine.
First thing I want you to notice here is if you watch both videos, you'll notice in this lower range here, especially at the beginning, that they aren't working very hard here. It's actually relatively lazy on both of them. That helps kind of get this relaxed, calm element to it. It doesn't mean they're not working hard here in their back. It doesn't mean they aren't opening up this oropharynx and keeping it open, keeping at least some of that yawn feeling in there. But it does mean from here forward in the articulators, they're keeping a little more relaxed, a little lazier, and that's also getting this more intimate sense and feeling of what's going on in the song. They're in the lower range, so they don't have to work as hard. You'll notice when they start getting up to the middle higher range, that changes. We see much more of the upper teeth. You'll see the jaw release even more. We'll get there when we get there. But here at the beginning, they're keeping it relatively relaxed. They're focused more on keeping it tall in the back, which is adding that warmth rather than the width that we'll see later on. And also body language wise, they're really relaxed and calm and conversational. They aren't forcing anything. They're not pushing anything. They're not trying to play big. They're playing really smart at the beginning, relatively quiet, so that they got somewhere to go. Let's see what else we got.
Softly you whisper, you're so sincere. How could I love be so blind? We settled together, we drifted apart, and here you are by my side.
So what's interesting here is when we're starting, this kind of covered place is muted a little more, makes it a little softer, makes it not as bright and brash and ringing. Cool. So it's a sound color that they're going for. It's a quality of the sound choice. Cool. You'll notice as we start gearing up for this higher place though, and you're seeing a little bit more of these upper teeth coming out. In both of them, you're seeing more of this ah shape in both the front of the mouth and in the back happening as they're singing the words. Their body, their mind is getting ready to be able to get in this middle higher range, and this ah position is going to help them get there. The other thing that I really love is their body language is just really conversational. Relaxed. We're not seeing any tension anywhere. We are seeing expressiveness going on in the face, but not much else, right? Some hand movement here, especially in the original Journey, but in general, still relatively quiet. Notice, Journey, upper tooth smile comes right out. Even when it's open, its O lips wrapped around that ass shape and back. And then we get this right back to this upper tooth smile ass shape. Yep. You'll also notice that he got much more animated with both his head and his hands and his body leading into that. Really important when we're going into transition that we start showing what we're about to hear. So The temptation for most performers would be like, okay, it's the intro music. I'm going to wait until I start coming and singing. And then when I start singing, I'm then going to start becoming more animated. No, gotta be the other way around. Gotta be more animated with your body during that musical transition, showing us that the emotion of the music is actually coming from you, the performer. The impetus is coming from your heart, your mind, and driving that forward. And that should reflect in your body before we hear you start singing. Think about it in everyday talking and dialogue. The body starts to become animated and discover the new idea before the mouth actually starts moving and making words, right? And so, same thing in music. Go figure.
So here I am with open arms, hoping you'll see what your love means to me. Open arms.
So you'll notice with EXO that we are not seeing a ton of upper two smile. It's relatively relaxed up here. They're really relying on that buzz up here, that forward placement to get that ping and excitement in the sound. The jaws are staying relatively relaxed. They're keeping it nice and open here, still a bit tall. It's adding to this sense of more warmth in their sound. It has more of an R&B type of feel to it than Journey's original song, right? And that's on purpose. The setting of their song is actually a bit slower and a bit more drawn out. The EXO song is taking Journey's song and turn it more into an R&B type of composition. And so their singing style reflects that. Really cool. So part of what we have to take into account are what are the instruments, what's the quality of the sound that is going to be with the singer. If they're lower, richer tones, if they're more muted, warm, and smooth sounds, then we don't have to be as percussive with our voice. We can rely on that buzz up front to carry us through that sound, and the warmth of the sound as well to be able to make it sound warm and rich and match what's going on musically. And they're doing a really good job here, EXO is, of getting both those qualities at once. It's called chiaroscuro, right? It's used all the time in classical singing, and we're capturing some of that here with what they're doing. So really cool. You'll notice the shape they're using in the back is not so much at. To me, it looks a little closer to o. That shaping back here is also contributing to some of that warmth, that richness, and also eliminating some of the brightness that we get in Journeys. Now, that brightness when we think of Journey is really crucial because he's competing with a percussive piano and a bunch of other things, that live instruments, and in a live venue where that brightness is really important. The overtone series that comes with it is really important for that voice to cut through all of those other instruments. So really important. The crucial element here when we're seeing EXO is that we've seen them perform plenty of other times when we'll see that upper two smile coming out. So we know here that it's a choice. They're choosing to make this sound and this color with this music, and it's not just the default. Now, the challenge here is in this middle higher range is that this position they have in the back is going to make it a little heavier, a little harder to get up into that range and to stay in the center of that pitch. They're doing a great job here of doing that, and one of the methods they're using to be able to still get up into that place is by keeping it super whiny, buzzy up here in front. That's going to keep the sound from getting swallowed, pulling back, getting overly heavy, so they aren't able to carry it up in the middle higher register. So both of them are doing an awesome job of tailoring the sound to both the venue and the instruments around them, and making sure that they're doing what they need to do to keep that sound easy and to help it so that we can hear it and stay engaged and locked into what they're doing with their voices. Awesome. Notice that? Now we're listening to Journey, but if you look down though, you'll notice the mouth shape that changed down with EXO.
So cold. Wanting to hold you,
notice the quality of the sound that changes once those teeth pop out?
What do you need?
We get that kind of brighter, edgier sound in it, right? It's much more present. If you're live, much more present in the room, much more ringing in the room. In the studio, it means we're going to get a lot more of the higher overtones, and it's going to sound a lot brighter. It's the higher frequencies are going to be amplified. What I also want to point out is that body language wise, EXO here is a lot more controlled and subdued than Journey. You look at Journey, the entire band, there's much more movement, much more going on with their bodies and what's happening. Now, the difference here between the two is EXO's in a studio and has video cameras right up in their face. Journey, big venue, there's people way in the back, there's not video going on that's being projected anywhere that we can see, and so they have to play bigger. But even still, we're watching a video and it doesn't feel too big. The key here is also that the music quality is different, right? R&B has a little bit more, what's the word I'm looking for? Little more relaxed languidness in the body. I don't know if that's the right word I'm looking for there, but that's kind of what comes to mind. Is there's kind of this release, this kind of looseness in the body that comes with kind of that R&B sound, and we're seeing that here. In Journey, there's a little bit more of a conversational element to it, and it's has a little bit more intensity and intention in what's being communicated. Good or bad? No, just different, and different body languages that match the music that's being made. It's also really helpful because you'll notice the person in EXO that is singing becomes much more animated, which is also important for us, the audience, in a song like this, so that we can track who it is that's actually singing and who we're supposed to be paying attention to. So awesome. Love it.
How much I wanted you. Oh. But now you've come back today. I need you to stay.
So really quick, we want to rewind, watch EXO's high note riff here. Let's see what's different.
I need you to stay.
Okay, notice it get a little bit heavier there on top. The vibrato slowed down a little bit. We felt a little bit of pressure there. That quality gives this kind of building intensity to it, emotional intensity to it. We want to be careful with how much we use it because that compression, that tension there is going to make it heavier, going to make it harder to sustain, and going to be more fatiguing here. It also is going to want to pull our pitch down a little bit and out of the center of that pitch. But he's using it judiciously here and really, really cool. You'll notice that they use the riff really differently. EXO's using it here to kind of propel it on and increase the energy and take it forward into this moment where they're all singing together, which works really well. Journey's kind of makes it expressive, but has it dip for a little bit, and then it pulls back up into the chorus and gets intense again. So they just have different directions, different feelings. And what's really cool is that they're making it their own, which is exactly what we want. And they're making it their own by thinking, what is the emotion that I would feel in this moment, and making the music happen with that. Cool.
So now I come to you with open arms, nothing to hide.
Okay, other thing that's really important here with EXO is we're doing really tight harmony. So if we're singing in a choir, we're singing in a group where the harmony is really tight, if we keep this 80% of a yawning smile, this upper tooth smile, this jaw release, that's intended for a solo sound that's going to make that voice really ping and present in the room, and really get a rich overtone series. That also makes it really hard to blend. And so by still keeping some space in here, but having it a little bit taller, this kind of place, by not having so much upper tooth smile, by pulling the placement back a little bit, it's helping them blend and be a little bit smoother when they're singing together. So what they're doing here isn't just a matter of aesthetics, but it serves a functional purpose as well. Journey, it's just one soloist, so him blending is not really all that important. In fact, it's important for him not to blend. It's important for him to pull out of the texture so we can hear him. So this smiling so this 80% of the smiling yawn, upper two smile, jaw release, really forward buzzy sound from Journey is exactly what we need. So both ways working really well. Kind of cool to see how they're doing it differently, and what things are staying the same. You'll notice that they're all doing a pretty good job here keeping this jaw down and relaxed. They're keeping that placement still really forward so it doesn't get swallowed and too heavy. And we're still seeing the upper two smile come out every once in a while. So really, really cool. The other thing that's really important that we're hearing across the board here is this really consistent airflow. Also really excellent. You'll notice between both groups, they're not really moving a lot. They're not running all over the stage. They're not doing all kinds of crazy stuff, right? Why? Well, it's a ballad, and it just doesn't call for it. The emotion, if they were like dancing and doing all kinds of crazy stuff around the stage, it just wouldn't fit. It wouldn't work right. The other thing that I want you to pay attention to with EXO is you'll notice how intensely they're listening to each other across the entire group. You can see it in their eyes and their faces that they are listening super intensely to the rest of the people around them. That's really important when you're with an ensemble. You can't just be in talking mode and putting it all out there. You have to be able to be communicating and expressing things to the audience, but hyper aware and listening very closely to the group around you. And it's that quality of listening that really makes an ensemble click and be synced and together and be able to sing harmonies this tightly.
Hoping you see what your love means to me. Open arms.
감사합니다.
So the other thing that I found when I was going through in this and editing it is Journey singing a little bit higher and it's faster. EXO sing a little lower, a little slower, right? Again, stylistic things. Can they sing higher? Yes, they could have sung it higher. And one of the questions that brings to mind is singers a lot seem to get competitive about who's singing the higher range or the lowest range, and that it means something that your voice is better if you can sing it in a higher key or a lower key. My suggestion is sing it in whatever key is most comfortable to you and sing it expressively, authentically, and in a way that's really captivating to the audience, and we won't care what key it is. The majority of the audience doesn't have perfect pitch, won't be like, oh, that's not the original key. You're not singing it the original key. Who cares? Sing it in the key that works best for you and let the rest of the chips fall where they may. Now, that said, we also want to make sure that you can sing in whichever key you feel like singing in and to have your voice be as flexible as possible. They're choosing a lower key here. It probably just works better for them, and it's slower, makes it a little more mellow, and works better with the style that they kind of sang it with. What I'm wondering is what would change if EXO sang this song in Korean instead of English? I think what we would see is we would probably see their faces come much more alive and be much more animated and connected with what they're saying. Now, if you think I'm saying this as a criticism, I'm not. I think they did an awesome job and they did really wonderfully. The challenge is, and we come up with this with opera singers all the time, is when you're singing in a language that is not natively your own language, it's a real challenge to stay connected mentally, emotionally, and to really show with your body and with your words that you really mean what you're saying. The temptation is just to go into generalized emotions and to just try to show things. No, you can't. You can't afford to do that. You have to make sure that you understand everything that you're saying, not just in terms of translation words for word, but also what it means to you and what you're picturing and imagining, and putting that kind of emphasis and energy and intensity and emotion into the song. And we're seeing that there. They did an admirable job. But there's always something different when we see a performer sing in their native language, where there's just that much more comfort, that much more ability to be able to let go and connect and be free. That I would love to see what happened if they did that as well. So anyways, I'd love to hear what you have to say. Don't forget to comment down below, click subscribe, click like. Tell me what other songs you want to hear me react to. I'd love to hear what you heard in both groups that were similar or different that you think makes them awesome. You can find me at foundyourvoice.com, and there you can book a lesson so that I can help you sing more consistently or perform better, both as a soloist or with your group. You can also find me on wizio.com if you want to submit just a short 5-minute or less video. I look forward to working with you online and seeing you in the next video.